I worked at Engine 7. This was my first firehouse I was assigned to on Group 4. At the time, actually Group 1 is when I started on Group 1. And yeah, I worked right here. Caught a fire on the first night that I worked. And remember, you know, it was during Christmas time, and I remember it. I stayed up all night washing the truck, armor on the tires, and just waiting for a run. And yeah, I have fond memories of this firehouse.
I grew up in this neighborhood. I went to school, middle school and high school, straight down the street from Genesee Street. So it's actually a great feeling to actually help the community that I grew up in. And it's nothing better to know that I left making somebody's day a lot better.
I grew up on Barton Street, across the street from Engine 7, and I would catch the bus literally across the street from the firehouse. So that was my first exposure to the fire department, was seeing, and I always remember seeing an African-American gentleman, which I later grew to know was named Willie Johnson, who worked at this firehouse for many years. And he would always like wave or say hello to me. And I think it was my exposure as a kid, seeing the fire truck outside every day, being able to see the firehouse, seeing individuals that looked like me, that worked at the firehouse, who I looked at as kind of heroic. They were heroes to me, you know what I mean? And it let me think that that was a possibility, that I was able to maybe one day get on that job as well. Not knowing that my fate would take me there through another, you know, avenue, which was the military. It's kind of how it opened up the door for me to get on the Rochester Fire Department.
Growing up and having a firefighter that was in the household, I was actually able to see the ins and outs of like what he's actually doing every day, and being invited out to hit the firehouse as a kid, going to the firehouse and having dinner with those guys and stuff like that, and seeing him running out, jumping up on the truck and going on the call. I always thought that was pretty cool. So that kind of like inspired me to do it. Getting on the job, a lot of people that actually work with my dad, they kind of like look at me as like their son, and it's a beautiful feeling.
I think it's historically, when you look at the fire service, and especially the police department and fire department, typically you see it passed down to generations. The job, first of all, is one of the best jobs in the world, you know, and so for it to be an inspiration to generations makes sense. And when you see, you know, your parents growing up in the household, as my son has said, you know, you typically tend to lean in that direction, in that career of your mentor, which oftentimes, you know, are your parents. However, when you look at the fire department and the fire service, typically you don't see that. It's very rare amongst African Americans. And so, because when you look at police and fire historically, you know, through the history of, you know, some of the sad history of this country, is that African Americans were typically not allowed, if you will, or a lot of barriers are put in the way for African American men and women to join the fire service. And that, you know, that's a fact, it's historical. And we even see to this day, those numbers are still low across the country. So now to see a African American father and son, which we have a few, is very rare in the fire service. It's more rare than it should be.
I really didn't want to go to college, so I was thinking about different avenues I can go down, and actually having a firefighter in my household made me see that being obtainable. One day I just bumped my dad into the hallway and I was like, hey, I want to be a fireman. And he was like, yo, there's a whole high school program for you that you can join, and it'll set you up right out of high school. So I ended up joining and I never looked back.
I was wondering and waiting for what direction to see my son go into. So when he said, you know, the fire department, I'm like, great, you know, you just bought a lotto ticket, you know what I'm saying? Now it's up to you now to hope to make sure that you got the winning numbers, which is you got to do the work, you got to do everything it's going to take, because it's not going to be given to you. And so I knew that what he was up against, but I also knew that this was going to be a partnership, you know, that we were going to be in this together.
Coming out of high school and being so young, going into it, just learning, it was really like very fast paced. So you had to like really pick up things pretty fast. There were nights where like you were up all night, you probably didn't even leave the academy because you were just like nosed in the books. Physically, you know, you worked out every day in the morning, and then you went out to what they have, the burn building, and you do a bunch of training and drills and stuff. So physically, and like mentally it was very demanding and challenging. But I really appreciate you being there with me during the academy. Like, he was right by my side through the whole thing. We both studied together up all night, and he really like went through the academy like twice going with me. So I really appreciated having him in my back pocket and making it a lot more easier and cool my mind down, like right before tests or anything when I used to get worked up. And he used to, like, you know, calm me down and say, like, look, you got this. We've been studying and stuff. So I really appreciated him being by my side during those long 7 months.
I would just say I'm proud of you. You know, I'm proud of you. I'm happy that you chose the greatest job in the world. I'm proud of you, and continue to just keep moving forward and continue to, the sky is the limit. You know, you can be a lieutenant, battalion chief, deputy chief, and that's what people got to understand about this job. It's not just firefighting. There are so many other areas that you can go into that can help your professional development. So don't let, you know, just being a firefighter be your only goal. Be the chief one day, you know. Shoot for the moon, land on the stars. So I'm proud of you. I really am.